Deck loyalty. Deck loyalty is a simple concept. It's, you have a deck that you like. You spend time and effort putting it together. You've been spending months and years working on it, playtesting, always improving on it, always waiting, going on YUGIOH weekend and stuff, checking out the new packs, the spoilers and stuff, seeing what new cards are coming out that can, increase your deck's playability, make it stronger, better, funner, but mainly make it stronger so that way you can compete. Especially if you have a deck that's based off of an archetype that's not complete, and you want it to be better, you want it to be more complete, you want it to have everything it should have. Like Dustin's, for example, they're still incomplete. So you gotta wait. We gotta wait a couple more months for new packs to come out, new support for them. Because there are other Dustins coming out, the black Dustin and whatnot, so we're still waiting for those to come out so we can, pretty much have the archetype complete, so we can be creative with it and, compete with it, be competitive. You want to take it to a tournament, Right now, we gotta be creative to make it work, so we gotta use stuff like Goblin King, It'd be nice if the archetype itself has its own Goblin King, a monster that gets 1,000 for every Dustin on the field. That'd be nice, right? And of course, you can make it where it has the effect where you can only have one copy of it on the field, like only one copy can be on the field. Because think about if it didn't have that restriction, then House Dustin dies, right? You summon 4 Dustins on your point side of the field, and then you summon another House Dustin, for example, and 3 of this, let's say the black Dustin is the one that has the effect, right? You summon 3 black Dustins, and right there is what you have. If it's exactly like Goblin King's effect, you would be about 8,000, no, 7,000, my bad. You'd be 7,000, so you have 3 7,000 on the field. That's a little bit too much. You just want a similar. Doesn't even have to be 1,000. 1,000 would be nice because that's what we use Goblin King for. But even if it was just 500 for every dust in the field, you still have a pretty strong monster. At least to have a 4,000 Dustin, that you can attack with. That way you have something, that way the deck has some type of win condition, has some type of purpose. What's the point of just summoning a whole bunch of monsters on the field if you can't do nothing with them? So that's why we use Goblin King. But it'd be nice if the Dustins themselves had a monster, right? But anyway, the point is that, being loyal to a deck, it's like putting time and effort to get it to a certain point that you want. I've been working on Infernal Tempest for a couple years now. Well, many years, since the spell card was created. And I saw it in the movie. So it's like, oh shit, that's awesome. But then when I found out you had to take 2,000 to activate, it's like, yeah, it's a little bit fair because, not everyone will run it. It'd be too, broken now. It's the term. Back then, that was never the term. It was like, man, that everybody would use it. It'll be generic or staple, whatever you want to call it. Everybody would run it. But now, then when the actual effect came out where it stated you had to take 2,000 points of damage from one single attack to activate it, and then it was like, alright, then it's selective. That means you gotta make it work. It just doesn't automatically work. You gotta make it work. Same thing as Reversal Quiz, and there's tons of cards, Final Destiny. There's cards that have really good effects, but you have to meet certain conditions, which don't make it easy to play. But when you can play it, it is really good, right? So for years I've been trying to get, Infernal Tempest, to the deck itself to be really consistent, and it took a couple years, like what, 10 years, about 10 years for it to pretty much be to the point where I have it now, where I have like 3 different OTKs in it. Got the Infernal Tempest trick, of course, right? That's one of the OTKs that combined with DD Dynamite. I got Volcanic Counter in there as an OTK, and then I got the Mariner Mites that lets me take the Lava Golems and Ground Golems back from my opponent bring them back to my side of the field. Summon Reptilian Basky, and I have a 3000, 3026 right there. That's an OTK. So I got 3 potential OTKs. Plus I use what's his name? Quick Draw Synchron for synchro summoning, so that gives me more monsters on my side field that I can OTK my opponent with. So so I have more stuff in the deck than I did before, and it took many years to get to that point because I had to wait for the stuff to come out. I had to wait for Quick Draw. I had to wait for the Junk Destroyer and all the different synchron based synchros that require synchrons in order to create, so that way Quick Draw has some usefulness. Battle faders, so I can even hand traps as well, battle faders and stuff like that. Marshmallows, volcanic, the Fire King Avatar Kirin, so I can use Fire King Kirin to put volcanic counter in the graveyard, so that way I can set up the graveyard for the volcanic TK. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. I had to wait for a lot of these cards because I took my deck and I separated it of the cards that did exist back then that that obviously I could have played with. DD Dynamite, Infernal Tempest, Lava Golem. They exist together over a course of time. Once the Duelist pack started coming out, then Grinder Golem came in, so that made it kind of guaranteed the effect of Infernal Tempest. Then Battle Fader. You know what I mean? Basically during GX and 5D's time, mainly during about 5D's time, that's when more cards were available to support. Of course, in GX, that's where we got the volcanic counters, but we had to wait until now. We're in Zeal and stuff, right, to get Fire King Kirin, right? So on and so on. It's taking some time. And of course, the Breeze Dragon, I play with it in the deck. It works pretty good to make Black Rose, so forth and so forth. So it took many years to get the Infernal Tempest deck to where it's at now, and that's because I stayed loyal to the deck. I stay loyal to the idea, and I've been trying to improve that deck over the years because I keep making cards over the years, right? So eventually I will have all the stuff I need to complete the deck. That's being loyal to the deck. While most players, they just are deck hoppers. They'll go from one deck to the next, whichever deck is complete, ready to roll, ready to out of the pack basically to play at a tournament. They'll just make it, take it, and play it. And then next tournament, right? Next packs come out, next set, next hype deck, as it were. Then they'll jump on that, and they'll jump on that, and they keep on going and keep on going. And that's how they want to play. Hey, that's how they want to play. That's on them. But it's kind of sad that when a lot of people are trying to make it seem like that's what you got to do, that's what you're supposed to do. It's like, well, that's not part of the game. You can do it. Nothing's really stopping you. Ain't no police officers coming down telling you, oh, you can't just jump from one deck to the next, right? But there are players that are loyal to their decks. They're loyal to a deck they built, and they stay with it, and they improve it over time. I have a deck like that, which is my Magical Sciences Evil deck. That's a deck I'm loyal to, and I've been working on it for years. There was a time where it wasn't banned. Now, like almost 82% of the deck is banned now, right? Slowly, some of the cards are getting unbanned. Right now in the TCG, Cyberstein is unbanned, so I consider that of him being unbanned. For me, it's like, yeah, I can use them if I want. Like, no one will complain because most people know about the OCG having it unbanned. But it's not like I could take it to a tournament or anything. Obviously not. But it's my deck. It's my main deck. All the other decks I have are just for fun. And I do have, some tournament decks, which are for tournament purposes. So obviously I keep them tournament legal. I modify them. I have my Limited Ruler Assault Mode deck, because originally it was Dragon Ruler Assault Mode, but then when the Dragon Rulers got limited, then it became Limited Ruler Assault Mode deck. So I had to take out some Dragon Rulers, put in some extra stuff, like Malefic Red Eyes, for example, to balance out the deck so it can still function, constantly creating consistently Assault Mode every time I duel, which is the whole point of the deck, is just to create Assault Mode. So, again, being loyal to something you created. Like, for example, I created the Dragon Ruler Assault Mode deck. You know what I mean? I've created different versions of Assault Mode. The last one before the Dragon Ruler version, it was my Fire Assault Mode deck, where I'm using Rekindle and stuff. So that was a really good deck. It was pretty fast, and it did have an OTK if I had 2 Rekindles in my hand. So that was nice, you know. It's like, oh yeah, that's pretty competitive in OTK, you know what I mean? Plus, I'm able to negate spells and traps with assault mode, you know what I mean, and monster effects, and I got skill drain. You know, I main it, of course, so that helps with a lot of things. And that was the thing. It's like, you know, it was a really good deck. Still was a little slow, still a little inconsistent on some points, because sometimes you don't draw the right combination of cards. But then Dragon Rulers existed, right? They were created, and it's like, you know what? They work. 7 stars, 1 stars, bang. The synergy of constantly being able to synchro summon for 8 is like perfect. You know, Assault Mode is a dragon. Since it's a dragon, it has synergy with the Dragon Rulers, and you know, all this good stuff. Especially when you use Assault Mode with Tempest, you can get a Dragon Ruler and then, you know, go into your little plays and stuff and make Assault Mode. So that was a good thing, is the fact that I had the ability to consistently make Stardust, which was important. Make Stardust, turn into Assault Mode, skill drain, you know, my usual tricks, and there you go. My deck's consistent, it's able to play, so I'm able to enjoy the use of Stardust Assault Mode, for example. So that's like being loyal to a deck. But since it got limited, it's like, well, since I still want to play it, and I went through a lot of trouble and I play tested with the deck, and I'm very experienced with it, it's like, alright, well, I gotta make it tournament legal so I can still play it. Because I went through all that time and money to build it, then for it not to be playable will suck. You know, it kind of sucks, all that time and effort I put into it. So that I had to rethink, like, alright, what can I substitute to keep it still functioning the way it was meant to function? And that's why I came up with the Limited Ruler Assault Mode idea. They also, you know, hit Dragon Ravine, which was very important because Dragon Ravine was the main reason I was able to consistently make synchros every turn. But they hit that, so then it's like, alright, even, because it's like the Dragon Rules Me Unlimited wasn't too much of a problem, obviously, because as long as I started Dragon Ravine, I can still pitch and set up the plays and still synchro. But then it was no Dragon Ravine. It's like, dang, I don't have a way of pitching. So it's like, alright, well, now I'm going to have to substitute. And I was like, alright, well, then I'm going to go with Dragon Shrine. I realized that instead of playing a field spell, because I have Malefic Red Eyes, instead of playing field spell, skill drain would be more than enough. But sometimes my opponent might have a field spell, so I could just take advantage of that. So then I was like, you know what? The main thing is to thin out my deck so I can get to all my other cards faster. Just summoning Red Eyes just to banish Malefic Red Eyes, just banish Red Eyes from the deck, and then Malefic Red Eyes to self-destruct itself. It's okay, you know, I got a Dragon in Graveyard, I can banish it for a Dragon Ruler, you know, so on and so on. And at least now my deck is thinner so I can get to all my other cards, especially my Dragon Shrine, and I use 2 Reasonings and a monster gate. I would like to use Gold Sarcophagus. I keep debating if I want to use Gold Sarcophagus or not. I'll still think about it, or just play test it, you know, and see if it has more synergy than Monster Gate. Because Monster Gate, you know, you got to tribute monster to get the effect. And if I just got Dragon Rulers, or I just got big dragons in my hand, I can't summon them, so I can't tribute them for the effect of the spell. So I might just need to use Gold Sarcophagus instead. While Reasoning, I just got to play it. My opponent picks a star level between 1 and 12. Doesn't matter if he says 7, because I want the dragons in the graveyard anyway. So if he says 7, no biggie. Mill. Banish. Stardust, the usual, right? So that's basically it. You know what I mean? Deck loyalty is staying loyal to a deck. You know, over time, you know, over the years, it'll improve, it'll get better, instead of just, you know, like start playing with it. It's like, oh, this deck is not really that good because it doesn't have, you know, too much, you know, synergy or whatever, and then just give up on it and just go on to something else. Not saying you have to do that, I'm just saying a lot of people do that. I'm one of them, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being loyal to a deck. So if you see somebody playing an old deck, like old archetypes or old cards, you know, it'd be stupid for you to have a problem with that. considering the fact that it's like old cars are just as good as the new ones, sometimes even more broken than the new ones, because there's some new cars that actually support the old cars, and vice versa. Some of the old cars support the new cars, like Super YUGIOH for example. Super YUGIOH was way better now than it was back then. Back then it was alright. Now it was just broken, right? So they had to ban it, right? When they could have just kept it, right, and just got rid of the baby dragon rulers, right? That way it slows down, and most of us who play dragons could still enjoy the extra draw power of Super YUGIOH. But then, you know, you got the Blue Eyes, you know, YUGIOH draw engine, right? So I guess that's probably why they hit it. Not because of Dragon Wars, probably because of the YUGIOH Blue Eyes draw engine. Because once you get the babies, you're not really discarding that much per turn to get the full effect of Super YUGIOH and Dragon Ruler deck anyway. So why ban it? Why not unban it, right? But I'm assuming the real reason why they have it banned and still banned is because of Blue Eyes draw engines. Well, and that's the end of the video.